Today's lecture on quotient module is an important concept on module. The quotienting actually is not only for module, is for ring, group, and in field, vector space, eventually in the set also. The quotient idea is there. So before going to that quotient thing, I'll discuss on a counter example what we just left in the last class. So example of a finitely generated free module having a sub module which is neither free or not finitely. So we give an example of free module which is finitely generated, free and finitely generated, but have a sub module which is neither free nor finitely generated. So before take the example, we need to know what is called polynomial ring over more than one variable. So we know what is called polynomial ring. So if R is a ring or R maybe a field, so what is Rx? Rx set of all polynomials, just like X only single variable is actually is a sequence or is a finite sequence. Now, say now it's more than one variable like that, so two variable or n variables. So this is something like, say if it's say X and Y, polynomial ring over X and Y is just set of all polynomials with only two variables X and Y, like X square plus 2xy plus say Y cube minus 3x, like that. So this is a polynomial of two variables, so set of all such polynomials. So this is called polynomial ring over more than one variables. So take K as a field now. Say take K as a field and take the polynomial ring. K is a field, but this ring over K is not a field. This polynomial is a ring. So remember, if it is a ring, then R is ring, then R is a ring. But if K is field, K if X is not a field, obviously, because X has no inverse. 1 by X is not a ring or not a polynomial not in the ring. So now take a infinite thing. So what is now infinite? So again, infinite variable space is a x1 x2 infinitely many countable many variables. But if you consider a polynomial, you have to take the finitely many terms. Always you have to take the finitely many terms. Now this is a commutative ring. This is a commutative ring. Obviously, we know the fx into gx or fxy into gxy is same as gxy into fxy. So it is a polynomial commutative ring. Now take module as the same ring. So module as a ring, that ring R. So R is this. Now we know if ring over itself is a module and it is just has a basis like just only one element generated by the only one element. It's generated by the only one element. So single element. So it is a free module. So it is a basis and one generate all these elements. So it has a basis. So it is a free module. And it is finitely generated because it's generated by a single element. Now take a submodule. So submodule of this M are the ideals. Any submodules of this M are the ideals. It's clear. So if I is a submodule of M or M is R here, that means if you take any elements of I, this is a abelian group. And if you take any element of I and if you take any element of R, then A into that element of say A in R and X in I, then AX in I. That is the definition of the submodule. So that means it's the ideal. So submodules are the ideals and ideals are the submodule. Now let N be an ideal of all polynomials generated by this element, this x1, x2, dot, 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 dot. So generated by only this element. So if you generated by only this element, then say for the two variable case, say take say real K as a ring and X and Y. Then if you generated only X and Y, that means you can't take that like say a1 plus X plus a Y square. This not belongs to this. So you can't take one. So but Generated by x and y means x square plus say xy minus y cube. This is in this ideal. So this is not the whole ring. So that means the polynomial with constant term 0. The constant term must be 0. So now this n, this constant term 0 is not a finitely generated or even not a free, not have no basis over the whole ring. So why this is so? So okay, suppose for contradiction, suppose this is a free, is as a basis. So first take is a finitely generated. So if it is a finitely generated, so since it is a finitely generated, it is an ideal. Since the submodel is an ideal, and if it is a finitely generated, say generated by some elements, some polynomials f1, f2, fr. So it is finitely generated. So any polynomial can be written as a linear combination of this f1, f2, fr. Now this is not true. Why this is not true? You can't. This can't be a generator. You can't span whole R using just f1, f2, fr. Why this is so? So now since f1, f2, fr has just f1 has a finitely many terms, f2 has a finitely many terms. That means say f1 contains say x1, say x5 or x9, say, and x2 contains say x3, x5, x9, and x10. So it is finite. So you can take consider of all this x1, x2, xn. So finite dimension, and that means you have a m such that this f of x1, x2, xn, this is R. So you have a n that this will all this fi belongs to this set. Just a finite thing. Xn is the highest thing which is in all this f1 in fr. So no variables are there after this xn. That is always true, because if you take f1 and say f1 has a x1, x7, x9, and f2 contain say f3, x7, x13, like that. So you have to take the maximum index, and that maximum index is n. Now this is a subring of R. Now this is a subring of R. So this is a subring of whole thing. Subring. It's subset, not only subset, it's a subring. Now this xi in n, this xi is n. N is the set of all polynomial with constant term 0. Now how do you write this thing? So this is the other variable which is not included here. So since it is a basis, since it is a spanning set, if it is a is generate the whole ring, that means not ring, the whole n. That means that element x n plus 1 is n, and that can be written as a linear combination of f1, f2, fn. So that can be written as f ai into fi. Say I equal to 1 to r. So what is fi? Fi is this generating set, and what is ai? Ai is coming from the r. Now since ai is coming from the r, what happened? Since now this fi has no constant term is 0. So fi has a constant term 0. Now, so what happened? So that means if has a constant term 0, and this xn has also constant term 0, then put this x1 equal to x2 xn. If we put this, then what do we get? We get if we put this, we get xn plus 1 is equal to summation I equal to 1 to r, and then ai into this some 0 0 0 0 0, then xn plus 1 dot dot whatever it may be, xn plus 2 dot dot dot, and then it's multiplied by fi 0 0 0 0. But this fi 0 0 0 is a 0. fi 0 0 0 is the 0. So that means the right hand side is 0. So it can't be xn plus 1. So what is the meaning? That means if we have some polynomials which does not contain some variable, then you can't write. Remember that has no constant term. If it has a constant term, if I say f1 has a constant term 1, then you can multiply it 1 by this xn plus 1, and we will get xn plus 1. But what's happened here? Fi has no all the constant term vanished, so constant term at 0. That means it's like a ax plus xy minus a y square. So if I say 3 variables in fi, x plus z square plus xi, x square y plus x cube z, like that, and you have a new variable u, and u not containing this f1 f2 f this polynomial. How to find u? How to get u? Just multiplying that polynomial does not continue. Can you find u multiplying that polynomial with other polynomial that may continue? That ai contain AIs are polynomials. Now ai can continue, but remember your fi has no constant term. Constant term is 0. So that means your u must be coming from that ai, and multiply that u with the fi, that actually gives not just the u into x, u into x square y, like that. So you can't get u. That is the idea. So this is the thing is not a finitely generated. So it is not a finite contradiction. Now since f is not finitely generated, it can't be a principal idea. So that's why n cannot be a PID. So cannot be principal ideal. Principal ideal. So it can be a principal ideal. So it is not a finitely generated. So and it is not free then. So since it's not a principal ideal, it's not free, because only ideals in R, while only ideals in R are which are free, are non-zero principal ideals. You know from the ring theory that all ideals in R which are free, that as a R module, are the non-zero principal. So non-zero principal ideal. So it is not a principal ideal. That's why it can't be free. So hence it is since it is not finitely generated, it can't be free. So that is the example. So in vector space, which is but model is not true. Now we today's lecture is a quotient module. So what is the quotient module? What is the idea of quotient? So idea of quotient is very important. So idea of quotienting is like that. So first I take the idea of quotienting in a set, just a set. So idea of quotienting in a set like that. So the idea of quotienting is like that. So it was just a set, and you just take a partition of that. Set is a simple partition. This is a partition. The quotienting is actually this. So you have a partition on that. So this, and you take from every partition, every subset, you take a single differentiation. Take a single differentiation from, just take a one element from, you take a one element from here. So one element from here. So if you have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, so you have only 7 elements here. And that is the idea of quotient. That means you are actually squeeze the whole set to a single element. Like say set of all human beings in the India, and you are quotienting by say all the states. So you are take the set of all elements human beings in West Bengal, and you take just a single differentiation, say who lives in West Bengal. Take a single man or woman from that set, and that thing represent the whole set. So now you have a only number of human beings, which is that's the number of states in India. So that's a basic idea of quotienting. This is called quotient. So something, the quotient in your school like that, say you have say 50, and if you 50 were quotient by say 5, you will get 10. What is the meaning of that? Meaning is this: so if you have 50 many elements, and if your quotient means 5, means you just take a 5 element is a single element. So if you have a 5 element clubbed to a single element, that actually reduces the 50 element to the 10 element. So this is the basic idea of quotienting. So similar idea for the quotient group. Now, if G is a quotient, G is a group. Now, if you take a, you can't take any subgroup, any subset. You have to take a subgroup, because we can always take a partition, any subset, and we can just quotient by that thing. But then there should have a group structure after quotienting, because there is addition. Because for the set there is no such addition thing. Now, any two element, if you take any two element from the after the quotienting, so this sometimes write in this notation. Say H is a subgroup. Not only subset is a subgroup. So if it's a subgroup, then we have this sort of, this is actually the set of all quotients like that, or left quotient. And this, if you want to make this as a group, that you just can't take any subset. You have to take subgroup, and not only the sub. If you take subgroup, there is also a problem. You have to take the normal subgroup. If it is not abelian, you have to take the normal subgroup. Otherwise, you can't make this as a group. The normal, the natural addition like that. So operation is say a. That should be the natural thing. So remember, this plus and this plus is different, because this plus in G, but this plus in G mod H. Something like you have a Z. Z is a group, and you are quotienting by say 3Z. So that means you have modulo congruency group 1 0 bar 1 bar 2 bar. That only 3 elements are there. So this 0 bar is not a 0. That 0 bar actually is a set that which represents the all element of the 0 bar. So 0 is the one thing, and actually the set of all natural set of all integers which is multiple of 3, 0, 3, 6, minus 3. That's actually you just collapse to a single element 0. We identify with 0. So 3 like a 0, 6 like a 0. So 4, 7, that's like 1. That's a 1 bar. So it is the idea of quotienting. So we just identify some element to a single element. We not want to distinguish between these two. We not want to distinguish between, say, a person in West Bengal and another person of the West Bengal. We don't want to distinguish. In that case, that idea is called quotienting. Now, for the group, we need a normal subgroup for non-abelian thing. And if G is abelian, then every subgroup is normal. So same idea for quotienting. So quotienting, if R is a ring, and if you want to take a I as a subring, then again this is a problem. So I as a ring, this is a group, commutative group, and I, the ring may not be commutative, but the underlying group is commutative. Because the commutative ring means the commutative ring in the sense of the multiplication, second operation. Now if I is a subring, that means a subgroup. Again, there is some problem like a normal subgroup thing. So you need I as an ideal. Otherwise, you can't make this I mod R mod I. You can make R mod I as a group, but you can't is in form of ring. You can't define the second operation. So in that case, you need I as an ideal. Now same thing for field. If you have a field, then actually if you have a field, actually you can't. No further quotienting is there, because all ideals of this field are just trivial ideals. So now the same idea for the vector space. If you have the vector space, you have a subspace of that subspace is actually again a vector space is the abelian group. So it's a subspace. So it's no question of normal abelianity. So it's always the subgroup, and you can quotient this. So same idea. So like polynomial. So for module also. So module is a abelian group. So M is the abelian group. So you have a submodule of that. So N as a submodule. Now we want to make A model. So what is the definition of A model? The same definition. It's just A plus N, the quotients, all quotients. So this is the definition for this. So set of all A plus N, all the quotients. So once you have this, so like a same thing like group. Remember this module as a group. This is a commutative. The underlying ring may not be commutative, but as a group, M is commutative. Now, how do you make it a module? So it is a sub. You can make it as a group. It's a commutative group, because M is a group, commutative group. You quotient by a subgroup, so you can make it as a group like a quotient group. That group is a module. That group is a commutative group. But how do you make this as a module? If you want to take this construct a module, if you try to M mod N as a give a structure of module structure in M mod n, you need a scalar multiplication. So you need a that this external composition or external operation or scalar multiplication. You need this. So how do you define this? The definition in addition in M mod n is trivial. This is like is similar to the quotient group. But how do you define this? So you need a that we should write this M mod n. So you need a operation from this to this. So if you have a quotient like that a plus n and multiplied by some element in R, that should be an element of M mod n that is in quotient. So natural choice is this: if you take a as a ring element and x plus n in the M mod n element, the natural choice is this: this is just ax plus n. And you can check that this by this definition you can make this M mod n as a module. No further thing is required. So this is called quotient module. So you can just check this. So what you have to check, this is the well defined. What is the well definedness is there? So if you have another element like n plus n, which is same as y plus n, which is same as x plus n, you have to just show that your ay plus n is same as ax plus n. Otherwise, it is not well defined. So if x plus, so that means what? That means x minus y or y minus x is n. And this, what is this? This is the equivalent to a into x minus y is in n. So is x minus y is n, then a into x minus y is n? Yes, because n is a sum model. That's why it is true. So like a vector space, we can take the quotient thing, and this quotient idea is very important for this future discussion. So now there is a very important and theorems and result is this. But before going to this, we just take the idea of what is actually mean by quotienting in general group or in module or in a vector space. It's something like that. You take this as a module or like a vector space, and you are taking the quotienting that. That means you are taking another smaller. If it is a finite, it should be smaller. Or if it is infinite, smaller in some sense, it is a less number of elements, but maybe same cardinality. Maybe the same cardinality. So it is smaller in not the sense of the cardinality is strictly less. Smaller in the sense the 10 elements is going to a single element. Still the countable set is countable. So you can't say that the number of the set of all even number is less than set of all, smaller than set of all integers. It's less in the sense that is a proper subset. Set theoretic notion. So what happened actually? What happened? This is M, and you have a sub model of that, and you actually now n goes to 0 here. So because n can be between 0 plus n, and now if you have another quotient like a plus n, remember n and a plus n, if a not equal to a not in n, then a, if a not in n, then a n intersection n is just phi set. So it makes a partition. And this goes to a single element like 0 bar, 1 bar in the modulo congruency integer. So that means you are taking just single, so 0 is here, say, and a is here in this area. So you are taking a single representation of that. So you are taking 0, a. Now remember, this 0 is actually represent this 0 and this 0 are different in the left side and right side, because this 0 are in actually the set in the right hand side, but in the left hand side this 0 is a element, and right hand side 0 is just the whole thing, whole n. So you can write 0 bar. Now idea is just you squeeze this all this element to a 0. So once you squeeze this all element to 0, like if you squeeze this all the whole set 0, 3, 6, 9, minus 3 to the 0, then your 5 will be 2. So what is the meaning of that? So if you have one more module which is bigger than that, say, and these have some other courses also, say 6 courses. Using this 6 courses, we have this module, sub-module. Now this actually maps to a set which have a 6 element. It may not be finite, just for example, this 6. And the basic idea is this: if this is a, say, S is another module, sub-module, which is contained and contained in M. So S is a submodule of M and N is a submodule of S. Then the basic idea is this S mod N, the set of all courses like A plus N, in A is coming from S now, this 6 element. This is a module, this is a submodule. So this subset of M mod N, not only the subset. If it is a submodule, then this is also submodule. This is the basic idea. So submodule of M mod N and submodule of M containing N, this to have a one-to-one correspond. That is the idea. There is a natural bijection with that. So it means all the submodules of M containing N has a one-to-one bijection with all the submodule of S mod N, submodule of M mod N. So this is the main result or important result. Proof is this. So if you take, say, P0 as a X of M, so take P0 as this, so X plus N in, say, P, say, where P is a submodule of this, this is called, say, P. So P is a submodule of this, of M mod N. So now this, take this collection, this as a P0. Now P0 is a subset of M. So P is a submodule of M mod N. So P and X submodule, this is submodule, that means a subset of M mod N. Remember, in the element of M mod N, again a set. So it is a set of sets. M mod N is a set of sets. Now P is a submodule, means it is a set. P is a collection of set of sets. That means a collection of cosets. So elements of P is a coset with the coset like X plus N. You take that X, collect all this X, and this is called this as a P0. Now this is submodule. You can check that this is submodule, and since X plus N equal to N for all X in N, then whatever, that means your N is in P0. N is a subset of P0. So every element of N is the element of P0. That means if you take a submodule of M mod N and you can make a submodule of M which contain N. Now you can just easily check that P0 is a submodule. So this is, you can check. You can check that. Now the one thing you have to show that this is a one-to-one correspond. That corresponds. If you have a submodule of M mod N P, and from that you construct a P0, that thing P to P0, that map is bijection. So to show this is bijection, you have to show that if P is a subset of some P dash and both are in M mod N, then this is if and only if you construct P0 from P and you construct P0 dash from P0 dash, P0 dash from P dash, that submodule in M, the right hand part P0 and P0 dash are the submodule of M, and P and P dash is the submodule of M mod N. you construct two submodule of M from two submodule of M, and now this is subset. Again, P is a submodule of P dash, then P0 is submodule of P0 dash. You can easily check that. So that's why if P not equal to P dash, then P0 not equal to P0 dash. That means it's a one-to-one correspondence. So two different element goes to a two different element. That means a bijection. So it's a bijection. So the other way, you have to prove the other way. If K is a submodule, say, so now you have to checking fourth thing. So to show something is bijection, you have to check four different. So you have to first check what you have to check for a bijection. You have to check for if every element of here X, you have a corresponding element B. Number one. Every element of B, there is a corresponding element of A. Number two. And one thing is this: if the two element, different element in A, then the different should be different in B, and if they're different in B, then that should be different in A. Already we proved this the last two part, because different in M mod N is different in M, and if different in M, then is different in this side implied. So these two are injectivity and onto. Now this whether this function is well defined or not. So that means you need to check this thing. So we already checked if it is a submodule. So if we take a submodule of M mod N, we have a submodule in M, but you have to check the other way also, the fourth one. If you have a submodule in M which contain N, that should make a construct a module, submodule of M mod N, and that is the last part. Then you can find this. So if K is a submodule of M, K is a submodule of M containing submodule of N containing this subset. This subset notation is actually submodule. Once we write this subset, not only subset, it is a submodule. Now then we just make a collection of coset like that, and this is a submodule of M mod N. So, and this is submodule of M mod N. And the idea is that, again, this idea is, so we have a function, something, say a set of all modules here, set of all modules with containing N. So it says script A is a script B. Script B is a set of all modules of M which contain N, and script B is a set of all modules of M mod N. Now idea, already we have a element from here, from element of here we have an element here. Two different element goes to a different element. Two different element here goes to a different element here, and we have an element and we go to this, but that does not mean there is a bijection. The idea is this: that function, that this side must be, if it's the F and this is a G, your F compose G or G compose A, both must be identity. Both must be identity. So you can always define from a set A to B a just injective mapping, say from A to B, and another injective mapping from B to G, but that may not that does not imply that A and B are there is a bijection, that F is a bijection. To show this F is a bijection, you have to show that that particular F go to the element, say Fx, and if you come back with G, that again come to the X, same X. That means once you have a from K, starting from K, you go to the K tilde to the submodule of M mod N, and starting from that K tilde, that you have to show that starting from that K tilde, if you use that operation, zero operation, say, that should be the same, give the same K. That you have to check, and you can easily check that. You can easily again check that. This will be this. This will be K. You can easily check. So that is one-to-one correspond between the submodule of M mod N and submodule of M containing N. So what is the basic idea? The bottom line is this. So say if M has a, say, 100 many submodules, it's just for example, it could be infinitely many. Say 100 many submodule. Now it may be some chain condition. Some module in the submodule, another is like a superset, superset, superset. So if it is so, it's called chain condition. So there is submodule, the zero submodule. Then there is submodule, say M1. Then there is a bigger one, M2, like that. And the last one is whole M. Now, say if you have a, say, take quotient by M10, once you quotient by M10, that means every element of M10 goes to the just sync to the zero. That means the other submodule which are bigger than M10, the other rest 40 submodule will be there in M mod N10. So if there are 50 submodule, and if you quotient by a module, this kill actually all the submodule, the submodule of N itself. So if N is a submodule of M, and if you quotient by M mod N, the all submodule which is submodule of N, not only submodule of M, but also submodule of N, that kill actually. So that will be just vanish. If there are 50 and the N is the 10th one from the lower thing, then M mod N is only 40. That idea is very important to prove the future theorem. So now we have one idea is called annihilator. This annihilator is very important idea. So what is annihilator? The definition of annihilator is like that. So annihilator of M, sometimes called an F, is set of all elements in ring such that Ax equal to 0 for all x in. So that is called the annihilator. That means a annihilator of a module is the elements of ring. So it is a elements of rings, the collection of elements of ring. Annihilator of the module is not the elements of module. Annihilator of the module is the elements of that ring. And that ring, what element we have to take? We have to take that A element such that Ax equal to 0 for all x, not only for a single x, because 0 is there. So if we take A into 0, that should be 0. So we have to check this is true for all x in the M. And you can easily check that this is a subring. And not only is a subring, it is actually ideal, left ideal. It's actually left ideal. So if Ax is 0, then Bax is also 0. So if A is in the annihilator, then Ba is also in the annihilator. Now, to take the quotient mod ring, you need that ideal as a two-sided ideal. If this ring is commutative, it's good enough. But if ring is not commutative, then to quotient find the quotient ring, you need not only a ideal, it's a two-sided ideal. You need two-sided ideal. Now, if you take a two-sided ideal, annihilator may not be two-sided ideal, because Ax equal to 0 does not imply Abx equal to 0. It implies Bax equal to 0. But from Ax equal to 0, you can't say Abx equal to 0. So it may not be right ideal. So annihilator is like a left ideal. Now, if you have a ideal which is two-sided ideal, which is sub-ideal of this, so annihilator is a module also. So this ideal is also a module, that sub-module. So now you can just quotient this I is again a ideal of R. So it's a two-sided ideal. Not only ideal, it's two-sided ideal. Two-sided ideal. Now, what is the idea basically? So basic idea is that if you that elements A in the annihilator is just behave like a 0. Its elements A in the annihilator behaves like a 0 for the all elements of M. That is the basic idea. So the elements from the annihilator looks like a 0 to the elements of the M. So for if we have any element, say x in the M, that elements of annihilator is like a 0 to that x. So the idea is, if you quotient this whole ring by I, that means you are killing some elements. You are killing that elements of I, which is a submodule of again is ideal of annihilator of M, two-sided ideal. That means is kill all these elements to the 0 of I. But all the elements of annihilator is looks like a 0 in the M. That means what we kill, what we identify the 0, that actually for the element of M, this looks like a 0. Before killing is looks like a 0. So after killing, that is no hampering. The problem is if something is 0, and after some operation is make a non-zero, that is the problem. But if something is non-zero, you make it 0, that's not the problem. if something is 0, is make this as a 0. It's not the problem. The problem is here is what happened. If it's every element of I is looks like a 0 for any element of M. That's why once you make this I as a 0, no harm with that. So that means this this M is a module over this R mod I. So it's a quotient ring. Now the previous slide we considered the quotient module. Now this same module is not quotient ring. The ring is quotient ring now. Remember, this R mod I is not a ring unless this I is a two-sided ideal. So M can be considered as a module over that R mod I. That is and how do you consider this like that? So you need a M has already the group structure, the addition. You need that scalar multiplication thing. So you have to define this thing. So how do you define the exact? The thing is you have to define like that. And there is a natural choice. You should take as a AX. Now whether this is well defined or not. So how do you check this well defined as? So if you have two different coset, two same coset but two different element A and B, that should imply whether this is if it's true or not. You should imply this. If it is not true, this is not well defined. So you have to prove that. So A plus I equal to B plus I, then AX must be equal to BX. Now what is this? That means this actually A minus B in this I, in this course. Now since in this I, so it is annihilator. So in the annihilator, so is annihilate all these elements. So A minus B X is 0 for all X in M. That is by the definition of annihilator. So that's why your AX equal to BX. So that is well defined. So this is a very important thing, and now we are not only reducing the module, we are reducing the ring also. But in that case, you need that annihilator thing and two-sided ideal. If annihilator is a two-sided ideal, you can just quotient by the annihilator itself. Now the last thing is what we see in the previous class, that for a module, this vector space thing, the all 5 interesting properties not true for the module. Eventually not true for the general case or any special case of the module if it is non-commutative. But if you upgrade this module to the commutative ring with identity, that the ring is upgrade your ring to the commutative ring with identity. See, if there is a commutative ring with identity, then also for any general module is not true. But what happens if your module is free? If module is free and ring is commutative ring with identity, you have to upgrade the both module and the ring both. Your ring is with more structure actually. Module has a more structure. It's just a free module. That means has a basis, already has a basis, and just not the module has a basis. The ring is also commutative with identity. In that case, we say that we told that in the previous class that if the two different bases have the same number of elements, like the same cardinality, it may be infinite. The cardinality will be the same. So the cardinality of two bases are same for a free module over commutative ring with one. That is the only thing we can do for module. Rest 4 are not true, even if it is a free module over a commutative ring with one. The other 4 thing is not true. We see the examples. The finite generator, the submodule finite is not true. That infinite independent set is extend to a basis not true. Any generating set has a continuous basis not true. The only thing is true is this for free module over commutative ring. So how do you prove that? So, the idea is okay, R is a commutative with the identity and F is free. So say free, say base is B is the basis. Now choose the maximal ideal. Choose your maximal ideal. This is the basis of that free module F. Free module F. Okay, F is a free module. Say F is free R module. Free R module. So R is the ring. Now if B is the basis, now choose a maximal ideal. Choose a maximal ideal M. So is a maximal ideal. So what is maximal ideal? And that means it does not have a proper sub ideal other than that zero ideal. So in between 0 and m, there is no proper ideal, no proper non-trivial ideal. So if m is maximal ideal of R, and then we know that R mod m is a field, That is an interesting thing. If R is a ring with commutative ring with identity, if you quotient by the maximal ideal, that will be a field, and if you quotient by a reducible ideal, then it is makes a domain. If it is a prime ideal, then it is a domain, or reducible ideal is a domain. If it is a maximal ideal, then it is a field. Now let MF. So what is MF? This is a submodule of M, F. So generated by the elements of, what is the MF? It is generated by the elements, like generated by the elements like AX, by AX, where A is M and X is F. So remember that X is a module element and A is the ideal element. So this is from the ring. A is from the ring. So A are the scalars. The element of M is scalars, and element of F is the element of the module. If it is a vector space, there is a vector. So you take that AX, collection of all X, collect all X and generate by that X. So X, not only the X, A1 X1 plus A2 X2 like that. So you have to generate. So linear is a finite combination of that. Not only that, you have to take, you can take that C1 again, C1 A1 X1 plus C2 C2 A2 X2 like that. You can take the element from that R, scalar multiplied by R. Now, what happened? Now, if F is a module, and if you quotient by a submodule, that MF is the submodule, and let this as a V, which is the R module. So V is again a R module. So V is the R module. So quotient module. So F is this R module. So the quotient module is also R module. But previous slide, what you see that if V is a R module, then V is also a module over that R mod that ideals with that two-sided ideal, which is sub ideal of the annihilator. That ideal, if it's a subset of the annihilator, then V is module over that R mod I. Now what happened now? So V is a module over now over not only in R, is module over R mod M, because M annihilates this. M annihilates this part, this thing, and in M annihilates V. So every element of M is actually annihilates the element of V, because every element of M now is like a 0 by quotienting by that element MF. So once you quotient by MF, every element of M looks like a 0 for V, not for F, for V. That means V makes a vector space, because M mod R mod M is a field. Now V not only is a module, is a vector space over that field, that R mod M is a field. And you can check that B tilde, which is actually set of all such quotients like that, you should go to the quotient, because this is the V is a quotient module, and this is and this forms a basis. This forms a basis of the vector space. Now, if you have two different things, B1 and B2, basis of that F, you can construct that B1 tilde and B2 tilde from that, which is the basis of this vector space V, which V is actually F mod MF over R mod M. Now, since they are vector space, now this cardinality of these two elements are equal, these two sets are equal. And since the cardinality of these two are equal, the cardinality of B1, B2 are equal, because the cardinality of B1 tilde is same as cardinality of B1. So that actually, and similar for the B2. You can say this is cardinality of B1, this is cardinality of B2. So this proof is very interesting, and through this vector space concept, we are using that vector space thing. But to go to the vector space, we need two different things. First thing is this: you need the annihilator, and you quotient you make that module not only for that ring, you make that module over that ring quotient by some ideal, proper ideal, which is a subset of the annihilator, number one, and that makes a is a field. And number two is this: you have a submodules are all the submodules of that after the quotienting is a submodule of M containing that M. So these two concepts actually, and the vector space thing, that basis of a two basis of a vector space as the same cardinality. Using these three things, you just you prove that the any two basis of a module have the same cardinality. Since this is the same, we define that as that number as the cardinal number as a dimension of the module or rank of the module. So this is for this today's lecture.